Okay, let's dive in. Today we're unpacking a source stack that honestly suggests a pretty profound paradigm shift. It really flips the script on how we tend to look at struggle and resistance.
It does. For so long, the advice has been push through, overcome it.
Exactly.
Right.
Treat it like an enemy.
But these sources are asking us to consider something else entirely. What if that friction, that resistance,
Mm-hmm.
what if it's not an obstacle?
Okay, what then?
What if it's actually arriving as a kind of quiet guide, a teacher almost?
The teacher. So resistance isn't something to just bulldoze.
That's the core idea. We're conditioned to see it as, a problem, a failure point. But maybe it's pointing towards something we haven't understood yet.
Which implies the real work isn't fighting the resistance itself.
Right. It's about listening to it, changing how we interpret that inner friction.
So if you stop fighting,
Yeah.
what happens?
Well, that tension, that feeling of, ugh, this is hard.
Yeah.
It stops being a sign you're doing something wrong.
It becomes, what? A signal?
Precisely. A signal showing exactly where your understanding is still, let's say, forming. It allows you to adjust with life, not against it.
Okay, let's get into the psychology of that. Where does this resistance actually come from?
It seems to surface right when we bump up against the edges of our comfort zone. You know that feeling.
Oh, yeah. The nope, not ready for this feeling.
That's it. And often, underneath that initial nope, that tension is guarding something, maybe an unmet need or an old memory that hasn't healed.
Or just a truth that needs a bit more time to settle in.
Exactly. It's not quite ripe yet. The resistance is holding space for it.
So practically speaking, what does someone do with that feeling instead of just gritting their teeth and pushing harder?
The tool here is actually pretty straightforward, but it takes a real shift. It's about meeting it with curiosity.
Curiosity, okay. How?
Instead of suppressing it, you turn towards it. You actually kind of pause and ask it questions.
Like what?
Simple things like, okay, what are you showing me right now? Or what truth might be hiding behind this tension?
And just asking the question changes things.
It fundamentally reframes the experience. That shift from fighting to asking. It transforms resistance. It's no longer this solid wall blocking your path.
It becomes,
It becomes a window. Suddenly you have this clear view into exactly where your awareness needs to expand next. Obstacle becomes instant insight.
that's a powerful shift. And you mentioned this isn't just a modern psychological idea.
Not at all. This echoes through loads of wisdom traditions. It's quite universal when you look for it.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about Buddhism. Suffering often arises from resisting what is
Right.
fighting reality.
Okay.
Or Taoism's concept of wu-wei.
Mm.
It's often translated as effortless action, but it's more about aligning with the natural flow rather than using brute force against it.
Makes sense.
And even in old alchemical traditions, resistance was seen as the necessary friction, the heat that transforms the base material into gold. The struggle is the process of change.
And does this internal resistance, does it connect to what happens externally in the world?
Absolutely. The sources suggest that inner resistance, if we don't examine it, tends to get projected outwards.
How so?
As arguments, conflicts, us versus them thinking. Even big global struggles can be seen, through this lens, as a kind of collective revealing of misunderstanding. The friction shows where insight is needed.
But it's not always about immediately resolving it, is it? Sometimes that friction feels overwhelming.
That's a crucial point. There's wisdom in patience, in allowance. The sources really stress this. Not every bit of resistance needs an immediate fix or breakthrough.
So sometimes the best move is.
Sometimes it's simply to set it aside and focus on something else at play, gently.
That sounds like avoidance, though, isn't it?
Not necessarily. Avoidance is pushing the wall away, ignoring it. This is different. It's more like alignment. Trusting that insight needs space and time to clarify itself. You're allowing growth, not forcing it on your timeline.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for someone listening?
I think the core conclusion is pretty clear. Resistance, when you meet it with awareness, maybe even a little grace, it becomes a very catalyst for your evolution.
Growth isn't forced, it's allowed.
Exactly. It happens when you stop fighting the friction and start listening to what it's telling you.
So if resistance really does show you the edges of what you currently know,
Then think about where you're pouring energy into fighting that feeling, rather than just receiving the information it holds.
you could immediately redirect that energy.
Instantly, from struggle towards understanding.
So the final thought for you, the listener, is this. If you stop pushing back against that internal friction, what truth about yourself or the situation might suddenly become obvious? what's waiting right there to be known.